Sarah Boone was back in court, and the judge let her know what he thought about all her letters and the umpteenth attorney he has now assigned to her again. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. The sofa's back there, and Mr. Roscoe is, or was there, let's just see. He's sleeping in a corner like a snuggle little buggle. Anyways, my name is Paul. That's our mascot Roscoe and the pretend sofa. Now, y'all, look, it is getting ready to storm here, so you might hear some thunder. You might hear some lightning. Now, it could be someone above striking down on Sarah Boone, but just be forewarned with that. Now, what we're going to be doing today is another Sarah Boone update. You probably saw my other video about the update with one of her letters, and at that recording of that one, I had not seen the hearing yet, and so they're going to be a little bit, whatever, but go check out the other one because we talk about her letter is what I'm getting at, okay? Now, in this particular video, what we're going to be doing is looking at some video clips of her court appearance, and this is where she is having her former attorney taken off the case, or he is asking to be taken off the case, and they assign a new attorney and whatnot. The way we'll review these things is I'll put the clips up, we'll use them as talking points. Now, for those who are not familiar with the case, quick 10-second version. Sarah Boone is incarcerated. She stands accused of taking the life of her boyfriend, George. Basically, she assisted him or convinced him to, or put him, we don't know yet, into a suitcase, at which point she zipped it and would not let him out. She recorded him begging for his life, and then according to her, she passed out drunk. She wakes up and he is, he suffocated a horrifying death. So that's what she's incarcerated over. I think she's up to her 7th or 8th lawyer at this point. It ain't been good, okay? And like I said in the intro, the judge kind of calls her out on this. So that's it. Let's go ahead and watch the first clip.
So we have multiple matters scheduled this morning, one of which is Mr. Bankwitz's motion to withdraw. My reading of the law is I feel like I have to address that motion first and rule on that before I can address any other motions that would be heard today. So
now I wanted to put this clip in there for a couple of reasons to just lay the foundation. That's what we're talking about, okay? But a couple of things. So this video, what we watch here, to me is like one of these things where it's like, oh, here we are with the consequences of our actions. Depending on what Sarah is trying to accomplish, okay? If she is trying to do a Daryl Brooks and tie things up and, be complicated and, whatever, well, it's working, right? But if she's really trying to move her case forward, what you'll see after we watch these clips together is, wow, you are your own worst enemy, girl. Like, you're back at ground zero, right? So notice when the judge was like, I want to do the whole thing with the attorney first, because essentially it's going to render us useless for anything else after that. Let's roll tape.
Mr. Bankwitz, I'll start with you. Tell me why you're moving to withdraw.
Judge, the letters that have been coming to your honor, the derogatory berating of my services in this case, I can't effectively represent her. She doesn't trust me. She calls me a dud, I think, a buffoon, on and on and on and on. And no one should have to endure that type of derogatory comments and expect to effectively represent someone, especially in a murder case.
Imagine what poor George went through at home, where she's like unbridled, right? Just unbridled crazy energy, right? I mean, come on. She's incarcerated here, caught up in the legal system, and you hear what the attorney's saying. She's berating me, she's doing this. We've seen the letters, we've talked about them. Now, if you read the letters, one would think, oh my God, she's being victimized here. But don't we see that with all these, not all of them, a lot of the defendants, where they are their own victims in their own mind. Doesn't matter the tragedy that they have caused, they are a victim. Now, I've said this in these videos before, and I'll say it again before we go too deep. I 100% am like, we need a fair justice system. Everyone needs their fair shot. Yes, she needs to have open communication with, a normal expectation with her attorney. If she's not getting that, then that's not fair. However, now that we start to see the things that are going on behind the scenes and that she's basically sitting here wanting to just be, a Karen in the grocery store line with expired coupons, upset that they won't take them, kind of a vibe with these people, I'm not down with that either. And the judge will spell this out, but I agree with the attorney here. It's like, look, she's berating me. She's calling me a buffoon. I mean, who even says that anymore, right? This, that, and the other. I can't it's a no-brainer. And of course the judge is going to say, yeah, I get it. This is what she resorts to. Imagine her wine drunk at the end of a bad day, what she did to George, what she did to her ex-husband, what she did to her child, okay? I can only fathom the toxic stuff that came from her mouth. Let's continue.
Ms. Boone, I read your letter dated August 26, 2023, and your letter dated August 30th, 2023. And just so we're clear, I read all of the letters that you send to the court.
I love that he's like, just so we're clear, I read all the letters, okay? I read all of them, all of them. Did you see her over there? She's like, okay. Doesn't care, glad you did, as he should, but you know what I'm saying. So let's keep going. I had to interject that.
Whether I respond or not is based on what's in the letter and whether I'm asked to actually do something that's within my purview as a judge or not. If I understand correctly, you have now decided that you think it would be best, in fact, if Mr. Bankwitz was allowed to withdraw. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you understand by him withdrawing, I have to appoint another attorney. Do you understand that?
I do.
And that attorney's not standing here, so we're not going to be able to address, and I'll give the state a chance to talk to me as well. But assuming I grant this, we won't be able to address the other issues that were docketed for today, which means I'm going to have to reset your case for a later date. Do you understand that?
I'm not sure what items it is you're speaking of. I haven't received a copy yet of the letter.
Okay. Case in point. All the stuff to move the case forward is now paused because she's getting another attorney. And to me, again, I'm just projecting. I don't know. I ain't no shrink. I'm not in her mind. Thank God. So I'm watching her and I feel like she's having this moment of this realization of, oh, damn, I shot myself in the foot. You know what I mean? Because when he said do you understand that we can't take care of any of this other business today? And she's like this. She's like, well, I didn't get any letter. I didn't get this or that. And he's going to explain to her in a minute her role, like almost like stay in your lane, girl. Because again, I'm like, what do you think you're doing, right? I mean, is it literally like, well, look, Wednesday's not good for me. I got commissary at 2. I got a little church group at 4. Okay, we're going to have to put the court date off, and I'm just like, girl, again, they know where you're at. You're not going anywhere. You're on their schedule, okay? And so, but she clearly, that does not click with her at all, right? At all.
So we're having a hearing today in regards to authorization for payment for an expert that your attorney believes he needs to defend you and issue about the compensation of that expert, which is why JAC is participating today. I don't know if your next lawyer is going to think that expert's the right person to use, or whether they're going to go a different route after consulting with you. And even if they did, they're not standing here. And once Mr. Bankwitz is out, he's out. He can't argue the motion. So do you understand that?
I fully understand.
All right. Mr. Cacciatore.
Okay. Again, we were going to do this to get money to do this to pay for the expert, but now you can't do this and blah, 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 blah. Now, again, in her mind, she's thinking, it's him. He's not doing this. And hey, maybe so, right? Maybe so. And that could be the case. This is the umpteenth lawyer she's had, right? Now, this has been all reset. And did you hear him also slide that down? Your next attorney might not think that you need this particular person or this or that. She is her own worst enemy, okay? She's making enemies with the only people who might give her a fighting chance. We'll talk about my thought processes on her guilt and all that at the end of the video. Let's go on to the next clip for now.
I'm going to grant Mr. Bankwitz's motion to withdraw. I'm going to appoint find my list. Attorney Winston Hobson to represent Ms. Boone.
Woo, Winston's at home right now sweating bullets. Okay, someone send him a care package. Roscoe, get Winston a care package, please. Some stuff in it, maybe stuff for his dog too. He's gonna need it, okay? Can you imagine knowing that this is coming down your pipeline? I mean, I'd be over there talking about, can I apply for maybe a job behind the scenes over here? What other kind of positions y'all got up in the courtroom? I don't want to be a lawyer no more. Okay, let's go on to the next thing.
I'm going to suggest that you talk to Mr. Hobson about the various other issues you raised in your letter dated August 30th, 2023. One other thing I want to talk to you about, we had this conversation once in the past. Clearly, your working relationship with Mr. Bankwitz was such that it deteriorated to the point where the two of y'all just couldn't work together to defend your case. So I'm not going to try to referee how that played out, why that unfolded the way it did. But one thing I want to caution you about, if this becomes a problem on another court-appointed attorney, I'm going to look more closely at what the alleged disputes are. You have a right to a court-appointed lawyer. There are certain decisions a defendant gets to make in the defense.
Okay, real quick, y'all. Buckle up, because this is where he lays it out for her, okay, and spells it out real quick for her. Okay, let's keep going.
Defense of their case that are absolutely theirs, such as whether they go to trial or not, such as whether they testify or not. But there are many decisions in a case that a lawyer gets to make. And while you certainly have a right to consult with your lawyer and discuss with your lawyer, they don't automatically just do whatever you say. They use their professional judgment and experience and look at the evidence, look at the law, and do the best they can. Also, you've got court-appointed counsel. As I've explained to you before, court-appointed counsel rarely have the luxury of representing one person.
Okay, so all that he just said right there, and he's not done yet, but I just wanted to kind of interject some thoughts or else I forget them. First of all, let's start with the last and work our way back. They rarely have the luxury of serving one person. Here's the thing, and I have no doubt about this. They are bogged down with case after case after case after case, right? So they have to start, I mean, it's very hard for them to do their job. I'll give Suitcase there that, right? Is it right, wrong, indifferent, fair, unfair? No, it's all the above, right? And none of the above. It shouldn't be that way, but it is what it is. And unfortunately for her, in her world, she is at the mercy of that. She is not the only one, but she also has to understand that she's not his or her only client. And so to act like every 5 minutes, and this is the vibe that I get so far from what we've seen, is that she's constantly like, well, why didn't I get this paperwork? Or why didn't I get this? You buffoon, where's this? You didn't leave me a voicemail for this. And it's like, they have to be able to do their job. They can't check in with you every 5 seconds and be like, Sarah, I just went and got some envelopes at the Revcos, at the Cur Drugs, at the Popes. And so, I just want to let you know, we're going to be mailing out some stuff later. That's where we're at with your case right now. They're not going to do any of that, okay? They've got other stuff to do, other clients. And so, him sitting here saying, look, here we are with this situation, but if this keeps going on, we're going to be looking at things a little bit deeper, right? He's being very nice and even ground. And yes, you have a right to A, B, and C, but you got to understand the attorney's going to do some things on their own without consulting you. Again, you're not at the grocery store checkout line with expired coupons asking to speak to the manager. It's not how this works. Let's keep going.
And only having one case to focus on. I have concerns that your expectations of what any court-appointed counsel might do as far as spending time with you and the depth and degree of communication may be unrealistic expectations. You always have the right to retain a lawyer to represent you, and then that's between you and that lawyer. You can demand whatever expectations that you have as part of that agreement. But when it's a court-appointed lawyer, you have to accept and understand that they have other cases, other courtrooms, other responsibilities. And I'm cognizant of that when I'm addressing these types of issues about communication. So,
okay, first of all, did you see her in that clip where she's like shaking that foot? And then when he basically, in a very professional, kind of, a professional courtroom way you would expect them to be talking that fancy talk, he's like, girl, I'm gonna break it down to Sofa Talk. I'd be like, girl, look, you got a free attorney right now. If you want to pay for one and you want to throw out these demands and stuff, go right ahead. You got every right to do so. Okay, I'm not in your pocketbook. I don't know what your finances are, but you're coming up in here acting like this is Wendy's with McDonald's behavior. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That ain't how it goes, girl. Okay, that ain't how it goes. You got to put up with what you got. If you want to pay for an attorney, then by all means start writing the checks and the demands. But until then, you need to zip it. And now also, I didn't mean to say zip it. That's just the wrong thing to say for this case. My God. God rest his soul. Anyways, when he said that to her, when he kind of like very fancily like read her, did you see her? She was like, and then she started tapping that foot more because it's like, she knows. She's like, I ain't got that. Ain't nobody putting money on her books. Maybe somebody that's fallen in love with her or whatever. She ain't got that. Okay, and I'm not trying to belittle her, make fun of her for that, but the situation that she is in is completely her fault, okay? And George is no longer here because of it, right? Just like they said in the interrogation video of why is this happening? Because George isn't here, Sarah. Okay, there is something called a victim in this case that she seems to have completely forgotten about, at least from what I've seen on here.
Thank you, Judge.
What?
I'm not able to say anything.
That's his information.
The way she was like, am I able to say anything? I almost guarantee you, now I don't know what kind of custody she's in or whatever, but if you were to ask the deputy that's in charge of her unit or whatever, who is the most off the hook one in here, I will almost guarantee they'd be like Suitcase Sarah. Even though she looks more normal now because she's sobered up, she's healthy, she's put on a few pounds, she's not, drunk and any of that stuff. Oh no, this one right here, mark my words, you keep your eye on this one right here, okay? She was like, am I able to say anything? And that you could tell that just ate her alive. But she also, to me, and again I'm projecting, had this vibe of like, I got what I wanted. But also, there should be some kind of like a little ego bruise going on, because it's like, well, you got what you wanted, but you're going to run into these same situations like you have with all these lawyers if you keep repeating the same behavior. And at the end of the day, you've just you've done more damage to yourself because you have slowed your case down. What if the next lawyer comes in and doesn't want to hire an expert or doesn't want to do this or doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know. So that's where it's just like, girl, now let's get to some of my thoughts overall. So on the way back from the gym this morning, I was actually thinking about this, talking out loud about it, sometimes answering myself, but that's a whole other video. But for real, I mean, I was literally like, literally just like going over this thing. I was like, this is what I do. Oh my gosh. It's not healthy, I know, but it just gets in my brain and I can't help it. So I was sitting here going over this particular case and I was like, what is it that I'm wanting to see out of Suitcase Sarah? And not just her, but other defendants like this. Because here's the thing when it comes to guilt. I mean, we've seen the video, okay? We've seen what we needed to see, okay? I mean, it's very obvious. She is slosh drunk. She's berating George, who is asking to be let out. She doesn't let him out, and then he suffocates and dies in the suitcase. I mean, there's not much more to it, okay? Now, of course, legally there's going to be, and she's going to fight this, obviously, and that's her right. She has every right to. Here's my thing. And I get there's two sides to this, right? Number one is the courtroom, you can't admit any kind of guilt. I would have a better time swallowing a pill with someone like Suitcase Sarah, any of these other defendants like this that kind of have this over-the-top behavior, if there was some level of, I know what I did was wrong on this level right here, and I regret it. George is dead, and this is a tragedy, and it should not have happened. But on my end, I'm saying that it happened for this reason. Almost like, I'm going to take accountability that because of my hands, right, wrong, or indifferent, he is dead. I'll take accountability for that. I'll show that empathy. But obviously she's trying to, get out of doing less time and this, that, and the other. I mean, this is self-preservation at this point, right? Any of us would be doing that. I don't think, I know I want to, even if I was in this situation, I'm like, well, Paul, you're not going to throw yourself at the court and be like, lock me away for life, But I would think I would be more humbled, more empathetic, more, oh my God, what was I doing? I killed this man. Or, this man died at my hands. This is awful. I'll be a little more patient with a lawyer. I am where I am at because of my actions. And that's the thing that I see with the defendants that gets me, is they have this vibe like they were plucked off the street at random and, had nothing to do with the case that got them there. Now, mind you, this can happen to some people, right? And that's a true injustice, but not in things like Suitcase Sarah and Daryl Brooks and these people that are just over the top. And so that's what frustrates me. But again, I understand she's not going to throw herself at the court and claim her guilt. You know, she's got to do what she's got to do. So that being said, what would I like to see come out of this? I would like to see her be quiet and progress her case. At this point, I'm waiting for her to say she's going to represent herself. Waiting for it, okay? This has gone on for years now, right? I'm just like, you know, poor George's family that has to sit here and, you know, be re-victimized by this over and over. They haven't even gotten to trial yet, right? And it's just, you know, constantly seeing this person that took the life, allegedly, of their son, their loved one. So, I absolutely love how the judge so eloquently read her, okay? That's just, that's what we called it when I was growing up. I don't know if that's still a word. Gave her a reading, tore her up, you know what I'm saying? But he did it in such a professional way and so nicely. You know, he did not get down to her level of name calling and all this kind of stuff. And again, you know, my heart breaks for those that were involved in her personal life when she was on the streets, because I can only imagine how she treated them. If this is her behavior sober and incarcerated, imagine, you know, like I said earlier, imagine her being on a bender. I can only imagine. So anyways, I've been polling people on the videos talking about when do we think, is it going to be 2024? Let's go. Are we talking 2025 or 2026 for this trial? Do you think she will try and represent herself at some point? And at that point, should we just throw the TV away? We can't handle it. We already survived Daryl Brooks, for God's sakes, right? Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, even though Mr. Roscoe's hiding back there, he did slip me a little note. I don't want to show it because I actually don't have it. I'm making it up. He just whispered in my little ear. He said, ask him to drop some sofas in the comment section, Daddy. So please do. And until we meet down on those sofas in the comment section to talk about this Hot Mess Express, I'll see y'all there.